So, we will start with a very simple introduction to what haptics is. How many of you had heard about this word haptics earlier before? Haptics, you are aware of it? Okay. So, what is haptics? Haptics?
Touch, sense of touch.
It is a sense of touch. Okay. Haptics is a sense of touch is one response. What is haptics? All the senses in which touch is involved. Okay. It is the same thing in another way. Alright. Anything else?
Experiencing the force.
Experiencing the force. Okay. Alright.
Combining both the cutaneous sense and the kinesthetic sense.
Combining both cutaneous and kinesthetic sense. Okay. Alright. Any other answers? By the end of this class, we will come again and look at all this your answers, whether that is correct or not, whether it is making sense or not. Okay. Let us start with what is haptics. For vision, eye is the organ, right. What is the basic of our vision? Light is a basic fundamental stimulus, right. For auditory, ears is the organ, and what is the fundamental stimulus? Pressure wave or sound is a fundamental stimulus. Similarly, for haptics, skin is the organ, not that is not actually correct, we are going to refine it. For the time being, if you can imagine, skin is the organ. The fundamental stimulus is the force, the contact force. The other organs, they do not need to have a contact, whereas here contact is very important. Okay. This is a crude introduction about what a haptics is. We are going to refine it a little better now. The word touch, we have been using it very often. Right. Okay. What is touch? Forget about the haptics. Do we have an understanding of what a touch is? When I touch something, when do you use touch, the word touch? When you are? Texture, feeling the textures of a surface. Okay.
When we sense something through our
Manipulating objects. Okay.
Change of density.
Change of
Density.
density, you want to feel it.
Here I am not feeling anything.
Okay.
And I am feeling
All right.
density.
Okay.
vibrations.
Vibrations, you want to feel it. Okay.
Pressure.
Pressure, you want to feel it. Okay. Right. So, touch is a slightly complicated word. By the end of this class, probably we will refine our understanding of what a touch is. Only then we can understand what a haptics is. Okay. Touch has two aspects of it. One is the sensory point of view of touch. Okay. I am touching this object and then feeling the object, that is a sensory part of it. Okay. Another aspect of the touch is that I am manipulating this object. Okay. Not just sensing it, I am manipulating object. Okay. That is the second object of touches. Okay. Together is what we mean by touch. So, in this slide what I have mentioned is only the sensory aspect of the touch. The sensory aspect of the touch, again, as some of you have mentioned, there are many dimensions to it, sensory dimension itself. One of the dimension is the tactile sense. Tactile sense is, that is a technical word for feeling of the pressure, feeling of the fine touch. The secondary dimension is the sense of temperature, okay, cold or warm or heat, right, that is a second dimension. The third dimension is the pain. It may be a surprise for many of you, pain is also a part of the touch. Usually we do not consider pain as a part of the touch, right, but it is a third dimension of the touch. The fourth dimension is called the kinesthetic sense. Kinesthetic sense may be very new to many of you. Let me briefly introduce what a kinesthetic sense and why do we need a kinesthetic sense. Yes, Rahul.
So what about the internal pains?
What about the
Internal pains like the muscle pain.
yes, we will come to it. Okay. Kinesthetic sense, that is the sense of position. Suppose if I close my eyes and then I try to touch my nose with my fingertip, I try to touch my nose with a fingertip. At every instant I have this sense of position where my tip is there. How do I feel that sense? Where is the position sense coming from? Without that sense of position I would not reach the target, right. If I reach an object, even though I am not looking at my hands, I have the sense of position where my hand is. That is the reason I could reach it without much error in it. That sense of position is called a kinesthetic position. We are going to go very deep into what kinesthetic sense is, what are the sensors in our body which gives us these kinesthetic sense very detailed in the later classes, but you should know that there is also a dimension of the touch. Okay. So, we have seen that touch has two dimensions, sensory dimension and the manipulation dimension. Sensory dimension itself, there are four other dimensions. Okay. One is called the tactile sense, second is called the temperature sense, pain sense and the kinesthetic sense. Okay. In all these four dimensions, in this course we are not going to talk about the temperature sense and the pain sense. We are going to talk about in very much detail of tactile sense and the kinesthetic sense. Why? Because we have technology to give you the simulate the tactile sense and the kinesthetic sense, but we do not have technology to simulate temperature sense and pain sense. Maybe it will take another 5 years or 10 years or who knows. Okay. So, as a part of this course we will talk about only the tactile sense and kinesthetic sense. So, sensory aspect of touch is called the passive touch in the literature. Sensory and the manipulation aspect of touch is called the active touch, right. So, again usually do you use your hands to move things? We use only hands, right, but how about other part of the body? Do you use your skin to move things? Do you use your legs to move things? Can you move your skin, by the way? Some of the animals can do.
Snake.
You can see the deers in the campus, when the flies are sitting on it, they move the skin to drive it off, right. Mostly we use only the hands, right. So, use the hands to manipulate things. All other part of the organ is actually passively sensing the touch. For example, you may be sensing the pressure applied by your dress by the skin. Okay. That is a passive touch. Okay. It is not just touch is not just the skin level. Every tissue, let us take for example now muscle also has a sensor in it. The muscle has to elongate. When it is elongating, how much it is elongating, it needs to know. I am extending my hands, how much each muscle has to move in order to extend my hands, whether I have extended my hands or not. There are sensors in each of these muscles which gives feedback to the brain. So, we are going to see how all these sensors are networked in the brain and how brain again processes information and then commands the muscle back to apply certain pressure. The entire circuit we are going to see how we are actually manipulating it. The whole skin can only be touched. Sensory system is one aspect of it, and the motor system is the other aspect of the touch. Hand is the true organs of the touch. In fact, one of the theories which is in the haptics literature is that it is conflicting with the theory of evolution. You know the theory of evolution, Darwin's theory of evolution, right. So, that is what we have studied in the textbook. The haptic researchers claim that the theory of evolution is not what Darwin proposed. As the animals learn how to use the hands better and better, as the animals have more control over the fine movements of their hands and fingers, the brain evolves. It is not that brain lets the hand evolve, it is the hand that is evolving the brain. That is the concept they are proposing. It is very interesting. We will see some details of this alternative hypothesis of the evolution in the later classes. One major difference between other senses and touch sense is this: other senses can only sense, eyes can only sense, ears can only sense the sound pressure, taste or others, but only the hands, only the touch sense and the hands can not only sense it, but also can manipulate things. It is a bidirectionality. The last sentence in the slide you can see it is a directionality that makes it touch very unique among all the senses, and also that is what is complicating it. Okay. That is one of the reasons haptics has not evolved so much, because there are a lot of challenges, technological challenges, because of this bidirectionality. In the internet it is going to be a huge problem, and the tactile internet which I mentioned, now we have certain solutions to address this bidirectionality. We will see details later. Now, the 4 dimensions of the touch sense, we can see each one of them in detail. Of course, maybe 1 or 2 lectures will be on tactile sense, but in this class I will just introduce what a tactile sense is. So, the tactile sense is a sense of pressure, fine touch is what we have seen it, but can we have a proper scientific definition of the tactile sense? We are going to see such a scientific definition of each of the senses as in the later classes. This is just an example. What are the input to the tactile sense? It is not just the fine pressure, it is the mechanical input, it is all called a stimulus. Okay. The stimulus can be mechanical, the stimulus can be thermal, chemical or electromagnetic, optical also can be there. Okay. Some of the research students are working in a variety of stimulus now. Once the stimulus is there, that is led to experience, to different experiences like itch or tickle or pain and pressure, that is a perception level. So, there is a stimulus, there is a perception. Okay. So, how the stimulus is related to the perception is one of the important, that is going to be the focus of this course. It is not just to understand and the stimulus. Okay. Tactile sense means it is the totality of the entire system. What is the input to the system? What is the output to the system? Output is a perception. Okay. So, what is perception? How do we measure the perception? Why do we need to measure the perception? Only when we measure the perception we can improve things. Okay. So, we are going to see quite a few classes on this perception. How do we measure the perception, essentially coming from the haptics? How do we measure it and how do we improve on it? The whole field called psychophysics, which I am going to introduce in one of the classes. And the focus of this course is psychophysics. This course is, you can find it very different from any other engineering courses you had in your the engineering curriculum, because we are going to talk about what is happening inside the brain. Okay. So, we are going to give measurement, or we are going to give numbers to the mental events, what is happening. That is what the experience is, that is what the perception is. Haptics is all about perception. It is not no just sensing, it is not just manipulation, it is also about the perception, the human experience. Okay. This experience is what we are going to measure it, the experience we are going to give numbers, and then we are going to find out how to design systems in order to improve this experience. Only when we measure things, that we can control things. Okay. We can design new gadgets in order to improve this experience. That is going to be the focus of this course. Okay. So, the scientific view of what tactile sense is, all tactile perceptions are triggered by spatio-temporal variations of stimuli above, resulting in higher brain functions, experience and emotions. So, this stimuli which is varying in both space as well as time, and that is what leading to the different experiences. Okay, that is a simple definition of what a tactile sense is. Similar definitions we will see for the other senses as well. Okay. You have no idea what a tactile sense is, you have some idea about what a kinesthetic sense is. That is a sensory aspect of haptics or touch. This along with the manipulation is together is what the haptics is. Haptics, our definition is that it is pertaining to the sensing and object manipulation through touch by the humans, not only by the humans, it can be between two robots. In the future, two robots may be interact through touch. It is not just a robot interacting with a human, maybe two machines will be interacting with a human haptics. It can be in the real, it can be in the virtual, it can be in the teleoperated environments. That is a very general definition of haptics is. In fact, if you look at the literature what haptics is, there will be many definitions. You will find that none of the definitions are quite correct with a holistic approach of both sensing and manipulation. In fact, I am going to now ask you to do a very small homework. If you can search, Google search it, or the other literature, you can search for the definition of the haptics and then list out at least couple of 5 definitions, and then when you write down the 5 definitions, also provide the references from where you are getting the definitions. Compare that definition with this definition what we have written over here. You can see in each of the definition what is missing, sensory aspect is focusing or manipulation is focusing or both are focusing, you can check it up. Okay. So, in fact, it is our plan to write a full journal paper itself on the definition of haptics, because it is not there. There is so much of confusion among the haptics researchers what haptics is. It is not very clear. So, we are going to write a definition paper in the future. Okay. So, the haptics is between the human to human, it can be human to machine or machine to human or machine to machine also, machine to machine also. Okay. So, your brain computer interfaces can be part of this definitions. Not only brain machine interfaces, brain to brain also it is possible. Okay. So, brain signal can be tapped and then processed in the computer and then again put it in another person's brain, so that whatever this person thinks, that can be conveyed to him without any intermediate things. So, brain to brain communication also is possible. We have done some experiments, we can share it in one of the later classes.